Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to a look ahead to this weekend's action. And yes, it's everyone's favourite race of the season, the Russian Grand Prix. Now, last year, the Sochi Autodrome played host to round 16 of the World Championship, but in 2020, it actually hosts round 10 of this very bizarre season. Okay, I'm not going to get excited about Sochi, but following this one, it's on to the Nürburgring for the Eiffel Grand Prix, and I'm very excited about that one, and absolutely excited for the three that follow, as F1 heads to Portimao, Imola and Istanbul. That is quite the lineup of venues, and alright, I'm not going to be super hyped for this weekend, I never am for Russia, but you never know, one year it might surprise, and given how weird 2020 has been, maybe this is the year we get a great race at Sochi. But last year in Russia it was another one of those races that relied heavily on strategy intrigue, but we did get something extra thanks to Ferrari and their attempted team orders. Now, Charles Leclerc had taken pole position on Saturday, and that was ahead of Lewis Hamilton in second and Sebastian Vettel third, but it was Vettel who led by the time the cars reached that first chicane thanks to that huge slipstream, and that kind of forced Ferrari into having to make a decision, and the team were keen to swap their drivers around, but in the end they had to go with the undercut, successfully pulling it off, allowing Leclerc to move ahead of his teammate. Unfortunately for Ferrari though, Vettel stopped on track, triggering a virtual safety car, and that allowed Mercedes to make cheap pit stops and take the lead, a lead they kept all the way to the flag, as Lewis Hamilton led home Valtteri Bottas with Charles Leclerc finishing a disappointed third. But my word, what would Ferrari give to be in that position again this year, to be able to debate which driver should be leading the race this weekend? The fact of the matter is it would probably take a minor miracle for the team to be able to snatch pole and challenge for the podium again at Sochi in 2020. Moving on though, and last time out at Mugello it was a 1-2 in qualifying and in the race for Mercedes, but that only tells a fraction of the story. It was a chaotic affair I've got written here, possibly one of the biggest understatements I've ever made on the channel, with 2 red flags, multiple collisions, and as I'm sure you'll remember very well, just 12 cars made it to the checkered flag in the end. Alex Albon did finally break his podium duck to snatch third place though. Great result for him, and once again Renault looked strong with Daniel Ricciardo taking fourth. Behind them though, there was a real mix of teams with points for Racing Point, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, and they were courtesy of Perez, Norris, Fiat, Leclerc, Raikkonen and Vettel respectively, and that means that 8 of the teams scored points at Mugello, with George Russell just missing out for Williams and poor old Romain Grosjean taking last place for Haas. All of that means that heading into this weekend, the championship standings look like this. Lewis Hamilton is still on course for a 7th World Championship, 55 points clear of teammate Valtteri Bottas now. Max Verstappen is third, 25 points further back, but in behind them three, look how close that is. Lando Norris 4th on 65 points, then it's Alex Albon on 63. Lance Stroll there in 6th place on 57, 53 points for Daniel Ricciardo in 7th. And then it's Charles Leclerc 8th on 49, Sergio Perez 9th on 44, and Pierre Gasly 10th on 43. And although you can't see him there, Carlos Sainz is only 2 points further back in 11th. I do think Alex Albon will probably end up 4th, but at the minute, that fight is so close between 4th place and 11th. It is brilliant to watch. In the Constructors, Mercedes obviously sit top 325 points. That's 152 more than Red Bull in second, who are well clear of McLaren, who are sat in 3rd place. But again, it is so close in there. McLaren 106, Racing Point in 4th on 92, and Renault 83 points in 5th. Ferrari are still 6th on 66 points, but AlphaTauri are not that far behind on 53. And then, as you can see there, Alfa Romeo 4 points in 8th place. It's 1 point for Haas in 9th, and Williams are the only team yet to score. That's the catch-up done then, so let's have a look ahead to the Russian Grand Prix, starting as always with some stats. So a lap of the Sochi Autodrome runs for 5.848 kilometres, which, if you would prefer, is 3.634 miles. And the track consists of 18 corners, that is 6 to the left and 12 to the right. And we've got 2 DRS zones this weekend, one running between the sweeping turn 1 and the first chicane, and the second between turns 11 and 13. And in case you're wondering, the race on Sunday will be run across 53 laps. 2020 will be the 7th time teams have visited Sochi, with the first race taking place back in 2014. So as you might imagine, it is a track dominated by Mercedes. In fact, the team have taken pole position at all but 2 Russian Grand Prix and have won every single race at the circuit, with Lewis Hamilton taking 4 of them and Nico Rosberg and Valtteri Bottas having 1 race win each. Interestingly enough though, or at least for me, only 2 races at Sochi have been won from pole, but the pole sitter has always gone on to at least finish on the podium. And a quick few, bonus stats for you. We have never seen a red flag during a race at Sochi, and given the last 2 Grand Prix, that feels like a stat that is well worth a mention. The race has a finish rate of 81.15%. 5 of the 6 Russian Grand Prix have featured at least one safety car period, and the outright lap record for the track stands at a 131.387, but the F1 race lap record is a 135.761, and that was set by Lewis Hamilton last year. The tyre compounds available for this weekend are the hard C3, the medium C4 and the soft C5. That's the softest compounds in the Pirelli range and is completely opposite to what we had at Mugello. This next line will probably come as very little surprise, but I think we can fully expect to see a one-stop race on Sunday because given the smoothness of the track surface, it is expected that tyre wear should be fairly low. That said, the tyres, specifically the front right, will be put through a lot of stress through the awesome Turn 3. By the way, Turn 3 is comfortably the best corner on the track. I love that corner. I think the thing to keep an eye on is qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see if any driver chooses to go with a harder compound in Q2, say the mediums. You'd expect Mercedes and maybe Red Bull to at least consider it, but track evolution, at least according to Mercedes, is actually quite high between FP1 and qualifying, so it might be seen as a bit of a risk. Then again, Mercedes' pace advantage is pretty solid, so they'd probably be okay, but we will see. It could be worth a gamble for, say, a Max Verstappen. He may not be able to get there on outright pace to win the race on Sunday or challenge for the win, so mixing it up with a strategy is probably his best opportunity to take the fight to Mercedes. As already mentioned, safety cars could well play their part in the race, but the weather is unlikely to do too much to interfere. At time of recording, bearing in mind it is Tuesday evening when I'm recording this, the video goes out on Wednesday, so there's a long time for this to change. But as of right now, the forecast says that it should be dry all weekend, although there is a slight threat of rain on Saturday afternoon. But come Sunday, the temperatures could reach 28 degrees, and that may well be a little bit of a concern for Mercedes, so that's definitely something worth keeping an eye out for. Right then, it's been a while, but the predictions are back. I'm going to throw the usual caveat in here at this point, and that's to say that these are just a bit of fun, so please do not take these too seriously at all. Certainly do not go down the bookies with them. That said, the top 3 is generally a pretty obvious pick. Assuming it's a straightforward race, it'll probably be the 2 Mercedes and Max Verstappen in some order. So I'm going to go with the Mercedes 1-2 with Max 3rd. Yeah, I know, that's obvious, but I'm actually going to go with Bottas for pole and the win. He does tend to go very well at Sochi, definitely a track that he enjoys, and so I do think he will take his second win of the season this weekend, and to be honest, he needs it. Just forget the championship talk, there's no point. As far as I'm concerned, both of them are probably done, but a win this weekend would give him such a huge boost in confidence. He needs it. After all, he hasn't taken victory since the opening round of the season. Away from the top 3, though, the battle is going to be so close once again. As I said when I went through the championship tables, that is where the fight is. That is the real battle to watch. Now, this seems to change every weekend, doesn't it? One week it's McLaren that are fastest, the next it's Racing Point, and then a week later it's Renault. It's just an incredible scrap to watch, but I fancy Renault again this time out. That Renault power unit has some very strong, power, obviously, and there are 2 long flat-out runs around the circuit with DRS. Then again, if I'm throwing Renault in the mix, I've got to throw McLaren in there too. They should be pretty pacey as well. What I will add, though, is that Sochi is very much like a street track, and so that straight line speed may not be quite as beneficial as it was at, say, Monza because they'd have more wing on. Again, though, all the overtaking will be at the end of those long DRS straights, so in a tight midfield it could make all the difference. It is hard to rule out Racing Point, of course, because it is last year's Mercedes and we know that they are quick and Perez appears to be finding a bit of form, had a good result at Mugello. But I'm still going with Renault for best of the rest. And you know what? If there are any issues up front, maybe, just maybe, Daniel Ricciardo or Esteban Ocon will get the chance to snatch a podium on Sunday. I would love to see Renault up there at some point this year. But anyway, here is my top 3 for quali and for the race. Like I say, Bottas for pole from Hamilton and Verstappen. And then it's the same top 3 I've gone for the race as well, with Daniel Ricciardo as my wild card, or one to watch if you prefer. Essentially the driver who I think could spring a surprise on Sunday. But who have you got? You can, of course, let me know your predictions for this weekend's Russian Grand Prix in the comment section down below. Who will take pole position on Saturday? And what is your top 3 for the race on Sunday? Usually, I would wrap it up at this point, but something you guys have asked me for a few times is race times and TV schedules. So before I go, here is a look at the schedule for this weekend. On Friday, FP1 will start at 9 AM BST, that's UK time, obviously, with FP2 getting underway at 1 PM. The final practice session will start at 10 AM on Saturday before qualifying at 1 PM. And the race itself, as always, is on Sunday with lights out just after midday. If you're in the UK, every session is live on Sky Sports F1 as always, with highlights from qualifying and the race being shown on Channel 4 on Saturday and Sunday evening respectively. However, if you're not in the UK, I have got some links down below. One will take you to the official F1 site for the schedule, and that should be in your local time for the race and qualifying and all of that. And I'll also pop a link down there as well to the broadcast information so you'll be able to find out who is showing it in your country. So there you go then. That is it for the Russian Grand Prix preview, but I will be back across the weekend with more content as always. In the meantime though, if you enjoyed the video, please do drop a like. It massively helps out the channel, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new so you don't miss out on any content over the next few days, weeks and months. And you can of course follow me over on social media, and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.